In case you didn't know, in April 2023, Jorge Masvidal announced that he would be retiring from the UFC.
I don't feel the same when I get in here no more. It's been 20 long years. I love all of you.
And it's honestly been quite the hot topic these past few weeks. Everyone's wondering what went into the decision and whether he's really gone for good. But besides Masvidal, there's another fighter putting in his 2 cents about the whole situation. None other than Masvidal's best friend turned bitter rival, Colby Covington. But what could he possibly have to say about the whole situation? The answer might just surprise you. Here's Colby Covington's honest take on Jorge Masvidal's retirement news.
Dana, what does his 2 pay-per-views add up to?
So scared. Ooh.
What are your 2 pay-per-views add up?
First things first, if you want to hear the full story, you're gonna need some context. For starters, what happened between these two to create this bad blood? Honestly, a few years ago, they were good friends. So what could have possibly happened that caused so much tension? Well, you might be surprised to find out that their feud actually goes way back. But the most interesting part of this story is the fact that they were close friends before they ended up hating one another. And a lot of this conflict was still building up by the time Masvidal announced his retirement. That's why Covington's opinion on the matter is so interesting, especially because there's been some speculation about the reason behind the retirement announcement. But more on that later. Let's talk about the two's relationship and how it soured all that time ago. Here's something that might be pretty surprising. Did you know that the two used to talk about what it would be like to fight one another while they were friends? Yeah, apparently they had a conversation about if they ever fought each other, where they said they would obviously have to keep it cordial. This quote gives us a really good glimpse into their previous friendship. They cared about one another enough that even if they may have to fight, they would still keep it respectful, whatever the outcome would be, which is definitely a far cry from where we are now, especially after their infamous fight really did happen. Anyway, let's talk about how they met. Covington met Masvidal right when he got out of college. He was looking for a place to train and hopefully go professional, so he stumbled upon Masvidal's headquarters. Nowadays, Covington would have you believe that the two instantly hated one another, or that it was an immediate fight throughout their whole friendship, but that's just not true. They immediately hit it off. They trained together literally all the time, and even went on to have an apartment together. They were seriously good friends in the beginning. They did almost everything together.
Complete different minds. I got one opinion, Colby has his. I believe you gotta be nasty in the bedroom. The nastier the better.
But what changed things from then to now? Well, there were multiple things that factored into the bridge burning. For example, Covington began to feel like he was being used. What? Yeah, that's right. He started to feel like Masvidal was just using him to get to the next big thing in his career, and that they weren't really friends. It was just a convenient career move for him. This realization from Covington put a huge stain on their relationship. But it wasn't until later on that things really fell apart. The defining moment that ruined their friendship, in Covington's opinion, was in 2017. This was the year that both he and Masvidal both had a fight with Demian Maia. Things started off tame, and Masvidal fought his fight well, but ultimately he lost.
Which may end up giving up Mount.
Well, he's not going to because of the body triangle.
Now he's not going anywhere.
The only thing about the body triangle here is that Damian has to elevate his hips.
Now, this is where things start to get interesting, because during Covington's match, he beat Maia with ease. The match was done sooner than it started.
Happy with Colby Covington, who is basking in this moment.
This moment, Covington says, is the exact moment their relationship fractured for good. Why? Because apparently Masvidal can't handle losing to the same opponent his younger friend beat in mere seconds. It was a huge blow to his ego, according to Covington. Covington says that he knew Masvidal didn't like the fact that the cameras were all on Covington instead of him. In fact, he thinks this is the biggest contributor to them hating one another.
UFC roster, the street Judas, that fragile guy Masvidal, he can beat right now. That guy's washed up. I mean, I saw the discipline in the way he trained for years. The guy's nothing. I mean, he has no skill set.
Masvidal, the older player, couldn't handle someone newer than him winning against an opponent he struggled so much with. And so, he began to resent Covington. Their relationship was never the same.
Just ask him some questions, man to boy, be like, why after I let you sleep in my couch? You ate off my food. I helped you get on MMA Junkie. I helped you get on Ariel Helwani.
When all eyes really were on Covington, the jealousy was too much, because because of this, their relationship was gone for good. That's Covington's side of the story, at least. He says that his relationship with his former teammate was only dragging him down, and that ever since he left that friendship behind, he could focus on being the best version of himself. And so, he did. Since their falling out, his career has actually gone very well. He's been pretty successful, although his reputation outside the octagon is a bit questionable. He seems to be disliked by a lot of other fighters on a personal level. His political views and devotion to voting Republican are something that a lot of his teammates find polarizing. Multiple players have come forward to express their dislike for his racist and uneducated beliefs. But regardless of that, he does have a lot going for him. But what is Masvidal's perspective on this? What does he think about their ruined friendship? Well, he has a bit of a different view on why things ended. He said that a combination of Covington allegedly refusing to pay one of their coaches and Covington's way of treating those closest to him in private contributed to him keeping his distance. Apparently, Masvidal had been trying to get away from his relationship with the younger fighter for a long time. He realized that they weren't all that compatible, especially with their personal beliefs. Which side of the story do you believe? No matter what, you obviously know that something happened to make their friendship fall apart. But who is responsible for that may be something we never find out. Although, since Masvidal recently announced his retirement, there has been a new resurgence in discussion on this. And most of it's due to the fact that Colby Covington himself has reintroduced the topic. That's right, this man is claiming in his honest take that he is the sole reason for his older teammate's retirement. Whoa, that is quite an explosive comment to make about your former friend, isn't it? Let's take a look at everything he said in a recent interview. And more importantly, let's debunk the statements we know to be untrue. So the statement starts with him saying that he only just found out about the retirement decision. And then right off the bat, he gives us his honest take. He claims that Masvidal was retired after I beat him, and that his enemy was a broken man. Wow, pretty harsh, huh? But wait, there's more. He said that because Masvidal has no pride, he waited a while after being beaten by Covington to retire. So, to make a long story short, Covington believes that when the two friends turned enemies finally fought in the octagon, that was the defining moment when Masvidal decided he would be retiring. But because it would be too shameful to quit right then and there, he had to wait a little while before making his surprise retirement public. Essentially, this is what Colby Covington thinks happened. But what do you think? Do you think that Masvidal retired because he just couldn't come back from losing to Covington? Or did he come to the decision after he realized on his own that he needed to move on? Clearly, his old roommate seems to think he knows the answer.
So he just didn't want to have to live the rest of his life knowing that he retired off of getting his ass beat by me. So, of course, he's going to come and lose to somebody else in the division.
But what has Jorge Masvidal himself said about his retirement? Well, he said that the decision came to him because he felt he wasn't at his best. Naturally, this was pretty true. He had been losing matches left and right. Some may say that the only way to redeem his career would be to fight Covington again and win, or to retire. So, he chose to retire. Honestly, good for him. I mean, it's not like he had a completely unsuccessful career overall or anything, right? He had a pretty memorable career, one that will go down in history for more than just a petty feud with an ex-best friend. Anyway, what do you think? Did Masvidal make the right call in retiring, or is Covington right and has no dignity? That was Colby Covington's honest take on Jorge Masvidal's UFC retirement.